Hello again, beloved child of God. I'm back with another video. Today was a pretty eventful day. I'll share a little bit about that. I have to be real though. I am definitely nervous right now. This is not my thing at all. Jumping in front of a camera and telling the world anything at all just never was my strong point, honestly. But he's been nudging me today. I was trying to put it off to another day, but he just wouldn't let me rest today. Without further ado, I guess we'll just start with the morning. Every morning I go for a walk, and I love that walk. That's my favorite time of the day. I get to spend time with God and nature. I listen to K-Love, which is a Christian radio station. It's my favorite station. And a lot of times I'll just talk to God along the way. Sometimes I'll reminisce about my childhood a little bit, not much. But I did grow up in the neighborhood that I'm currently located in. So when I walk past certain blocks or houses, it brings back a lot of memories. Not always good, but he's helping me see things from a different point of view. Certain memories that I thought were bad, now when I look back I just see his fingerprints, so I'm thankful. But this morning on the walk, I wasn't feeling that good. Honestly, I was a little depressed. It's just a spirit of heaviness, and worship usually just pulls it right off. I just wasn't that deep into worship today. I was kind of in my feelings, so to speak. So I got to the park, because there's a park 22 blocks away from my house, and I walk it there, and then I walk it back every day, and by the time I get back I'm usually energized and ready for the day. But today I got halfway there to the park, and I sat there for a minute like I always do, and I noticed that there was spider webs. It's a bad word for a lot of people, but these spider webs were all over bushes. There was like 4 different bushes around this table that I like to sit at in the mornings, and only these bushes had the spider webs. Like all the other bushes in the park were completely clear, which is mind-blowing to me. But these 4 bushes that were happened to be around that particular table where I sit, they were everywhere. And I had also noticed that on the walk up there was webs all over the grass. There was dew, of course, from the rain, but there was just little webs everywhere. And it didn't dawn on me until I got to the park and sat down and realized it was literally everywhere. And I just was like, what is going on? And God, spoke so spiritually. He said, Google, So I Googled biblical meaning of spider webs, and I scrolled to the results until he told me which one to click on. And when I got to it, I was, oh my God, I almost cried. I was so happy, because it means protection, which I've never been big on spiders. I've always been kind of afraid of them for a good reason, obviously. But today I wasn't afraid at all. When I found out that it actually meant protection, I was so happy. But there was a second meaning to it, which also, that got to me as well. And in heavenly terms it means protection, but in fleshly terms or human terms it could mean a sign of weakness, like relying on what your eyes can see, or relying on something that is not God. And I did realize that I was leaning a little on my own understanding. Actually, a lot. I was leaning a lot on my own understanding, because I've been given a dream and a purpose, much like everyone else, but I haven't seen it come to pass yet. And that was what was really weighing heavy on me, is when you have so many dreams and you have so many desires, and God put these desires in you, sometimes during the process or in the delay, when it's just not there yet, and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, sometimes you can get a little discouraged. In my case, I was crying. It wasn't a pretty sight, but he met me right there, like he always does. Um, and his voice just spoke, so beautifully to me. That's something else he wanted me to talk about, is hearing his voice, because a lot of people over spiritualize it, like "Thus saith the Lord," or you read his word, and his voice is always in his word. If you don't know what to do, go to his word. He will always guide you that way. But a lot of the times, it's the nudge, or that still small voice, or sometimes it's a thought he'll put in my head, and I know it wasn't me because my brain is just not that deep, honestly. I'm not stupid in any way, but I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either. I'm a little bit in between. Um, so he does use my own thoughts a lot of the time. Um, but I tend to second guess the thoughts because I know me, and I know who I used to be, and that's something that he's been shedding off me little by little. I know I'm a new creation, but sometimes old thought patterns can rise, and I recognize them pretty quick. But sometimes I'll recognize them just as me, when in fact it's not me anymore, and I have to come against that with the word. But I have to know the word in order to do that. So that's my journey right now, is jumping into the word as much as I possibly can, and letting him speak through every one of those verses that bring me life every day. But his voice is so beautiful, and sometimes I overlook it. Sometimes I don't know it's him until after the fact. Sometimes it'll be pretty bizarre. There's a lot of bizarre moments. Um, and sometimes you wouldn't think it was him because it goes against your comfort or your flesh. I call it the flesh. I also call it my comfort, because there's certain things that I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that, no problem. And there's other things that I'm like, I don't think so. That couldn't be God. But it was. It usually is, actually. Like with my walks. I prayed about a month ago, maybe two, that God would remove all the pride out of my heart. Yeah, I did say all the pride. And I didn't expect it would be a process. I thought it would be like, snap his fingers, boom, it's gone, and then I'm just this humble, loving person all the time, and nothing ever bothers me anymore. Well, yeah, that didn't happen. The first thing he told me to do is, love somebody who hurt me. Whew. And I knew I'd forgiven him, but it was the bless them part that was like, like, I forgive you, but you want me to go out of my way to bless this person and they hurt me? Yeah, that was God. Sure was. And he also was, was like, hey, I want you to pick up trash in your neighborhood. um, I was like, I rebuke you, Satan. But no, that was God too. Because what I realized was, while I was picking up trash, if people were walking past me, my immediately, like, my first thought was, like, what will they think of me? You know? And I knew that was pride, you know. On the second thought was, I didn't throw this on the ground. Why should I pick it up? That was also pride. And it took a while. It took a few weeks, actually, where it got to the point where I'm just like, I'm just going to do it because you told me to, and I know it's good for me. I still don't always like it. Some days I'll get out there and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it today. And then he reminds me, obedience is better than sacrifice. And sometimes obedience is sacrifice, so it kind of looks the same. But right now it's a beautiful journey, because I found in the midst of obeying, right in the middle of doing things that I really would rather not do. He swoops in with this joy that I don't expect, and I'll be out there sometimes just laughing, and I don't know why, and I'm just overcome with joy. And it gives me a reason to continue, because I forget sometimes that if he tells me to do something, he's always got a reason in it, and it's always for my good. It's never to give me something to do just because I have a checklist, or because it's just a part of my day, or I need to be punished. It's always out of love, and it's always for my good. And for every promise there's a process, and I had to learn that. I thought that you got the promise and you just waited, and God makes it happen, and he does in his grace, but you have to agree, and faith without works is dead. So I had to step out in faith every day. It's not always easy. Sometimes I'd rather not even do it, honestly. But I keep reminding myself that he's a good, good father. And he does work the impossible. And there's always a reward with Father. Not that I do it for the reward, but you best believe if he tells you to do something, there's always a light at the end of that tunnel, no matter how hard it is. And I'm learning that on a daily basis. Well, I just wanted to encourage you again today. Um, Please do contact if you have a prayer request, or if you have a testimony you'd like to share. I'd definitely like to hear that. I do hope you have a blessed day and a wonderful week. Thank you again.